What the heck is Formula One?
Pole position, strategy,
yachts and parties,
safety car, Ferrari.
beautiful corners.
Oh, right, okay. There's a car in front of you. Try and overtake it.
Oh, I hate you so much.
Hello, you fools. That'll make more sense to you next week, by the way, Skin. And that's going to make no sense to any of you guys. I just started the thing and then said I messed up and then just did this exact same intro. Go disc.
Nice.
Welcome back to another Formula Fools podcast. My name is Dave, and with me, as always, as every single week of the 2026 season and for the 34 and 34 that we did pre-season, Skin.
Yep, I'm here. Hello.
First podcast of the year.
That's a
For
lot.
the main season. Sorry, first podcast of the 2026 season. I also realized I brought my Williams jacket, not wearing it. Pause, Skin.
Oh, disc.
Yeah, which just seamlessly cut back to me wearing a sexy jacket.
Is that new?
Oh yeah. Order of the weekend, Skin.
Nice.
Thank you. Guess how much?
360.
Supposed to be, I think, $340, which bargain, by the way.
Wrong.
$340. Got it for 15% off because of the great people down at the Williams Activation. One of their sponsors, can't remember which one.
Oh, like on the weekend?
Yeah, on the weekend. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
on the Friday, I bought it.
Nice.
Yeah, go disc. Yeah, first recording of the 2026 season. Why are we talking about on the weekend? We've just been to the Australian Grand Prix. It
Yes.
was a great weekend.
Yeah, we ended up going. We found...
We found a way.
Yeah, it all, we were horrendously planned,
Yep.
which we alluded to a lot, but
Oh, yeah.
things came through and we were there.
I had messages Friday morning like, are you guys going to be there? Because I just listened to your podcast and I was like, we think so. I was like, look, we're in Melbourne, so we should be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never in doubt.
Never in doubt.
No.
But no, it was good. It's a good
very
few days.
Mm.
Got to watch some things.
Oh, yeah.
Mainly cars.
Mainly cars. Although we did also watch Lee doing some horrific dancing on the Sunday in the Amex Lounge.
Yeah, crikey.
That was quite ordinary.
Yeah.
We are going to do a special bonus episode this week that's going to be a Formula Fools and We Got the Chocolates little collaboration, either end of this week or into the weekend, where we're going to talk about our experience, some funny stories and things like that. So keep an eye out for that one. Because, yeah, there is some funny stuff that happened and just us generally being sucky at organisation.
True.
A lot happened in the race. A lot went on, and honestly, when I was writing my notes, I was kind of scared because I wrote them and then zoomed back out and was like, "Oh fuck, that's a lot of notes."
Yeah, there's plenty to talk about.
Yeah. So where do you want to start?
I think we want to start with like the race in general.
Okay.
It's the first time we've gotten to see these new regs, these
Yep.
new cars, the 2026 regulations.
Okay.
Things happened. What did we make of them?
What did we make of it? Like, honestly, I kind of, why can I not scroll? I kind of liked it. I kind of liked the racing. I thought it was a great weekend. Yes, we were 3.4 seconds slower in qualifying, but the racing was good. Like we had a lot of overtakes, we had a lot of battles, we had a lot of like craziness, and it just felt like a fun weekend.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. It was, yeah, there were a lot of overtakes.
Yeah.
It was crazy watching, like, I think it was still, like, it was as late as, like, lap 10. What's faces? Charles and George were just kept swapping back and forth. It
Yeah,
was
non-stop.
yeah, it looked like very intense battling.
Uh.
It was all happening. I thought, I guess that's kind of what you want to see when you watch racing is overtaking happening.
Yeah.
So there was a lot to like. Like, it was very entertaining. It was undeniably entertaining.
Yeah. Like
But
Max,
I guess-
even like in the qualifying, Max crashing out in the qualifying because of, he's not used to these cars yet. Potentially Oscar's crash as well. You could kind of put down to maybe he had too much battery deployment there. Like, there are certain things that like the drivers and the teams aren't fully aware of yet. And it's challenging them. And I get why the drivers are complaining, but from a fan's point of view, it's like, fuck, this is drama.
Yeah.
This is like what we want to see.
Yeah, I suppose. But then some fans' point of view didn't find the overtakes as enjoyable, right? Because I guess like it was weird. Like at the time, I like sitting there watching the race live. I was like, "This is amazing! They just keep overtaking each other. This is the greatest thing ever."
Yeah.
And then you're sort of like sitting at home later thinking about it, and like reading through the comments, and people are like, in inverted commas, like overtakes, like,
Yes.
like they kind of don't really count because, and you're like, does it count as an overtake if the car in front of you just can't drive as fast as they should be able to drive?
Well, yeah, and this kind of begs the question of Formula One being the pinnacle of motorsport, and the fastest form of motorsport. And I think I can see the argument of people that are saying this, but but from my point of view, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm always of the mind that yes, regulations are never going to be perfect, and this might be the worst we've had in a while from the engine point of view, but we got drama on track. There's things to talk about at least when, like the first race of last season. I mean, okay, the rain at the end, but take the rain out of it. Whoever qualified pole for the first 15 or whatever races won the race. Like the top three barely changed in the first half of last season. So it's certainly a lot more thrilling than that already. And we're only one race in. Yeah. But yeah, I can certainly see why people are saying like, this isn't real racing or this isn't real Formula One because you can't push flat out. For anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, I think the best example of it came after, I think, free practice 2 on Friday. There was a Williams going down the back straight and they had the graphic on screen and it showed the Williams hit its top speed of 308 kilometers an hour, I think it was, about halfway down the back straight. And then whoever it was, Alex or Carlos, had ran out of battery. And so even though their foot was still flat to the floor, they had to downshift and lost over 50 kilometers and ended up before the braking zone at like 253 kilometers an hour while still having a flat foot with the accelerator.
Right.
So
they're going down the straight where they should be going as fast as they possibly can.
You should hit the peak of your speed right before the braking zone, really.
Yeah. And they're losing speed because of something about these new regs has changed.
Yeah. And the thing is the battery. So, the thing I wrote down was 2025 internal combustion engine, or ICE. You might hear a lot of people talking about that. Had 738 brake horsepower in 25. In 26, it's the same unit with still a V6 ICE. It is now limited to 536 brake horsepower because we've got another 500 and something brake horsepower from the electrical side. The problem is that the batteries are too small. So think about it in terms of a road car, right? I've got a BYD, I plug my BYD in, I get 100% of battery. For them, they're deploying that 100% of battery charge in half a straight.
Right.
We did an episode last year on the 2026 regulations, and I said straights like Baku and China, they're going to struggle because it's very long back straights, and they're going to deploy all their battery within a third of it.
Right. So if you saw it coming, presumably someone else saw it coming, right? Like, why did they write the regulations in a way that would mean that this is what you end up with?
Well, and that's I actually don't think the FIA saw this coming. I don't know. And also, like, I'm not a math wizard. I didn't predict it. I didn't do the maths on it. I watched a video, and an engineer who makes YouTube videos said he came up with the math and was like, if his calculations are correct, they're only going to last a third of the Baku straight. And so I watched that and was like, wow, I need to put this in the pod because that's amazing content.
Okay.
So yeah, like, I think there was a lot smarter people than me out there that could see it, that aren't in F1 teams or aren't in the FIA, and the FIA just seemed to miss it. I think F1 teams may have seen it coming. Like, there's an interview from 2023 of Max saying this was going to happen. Like 3 years ago, Max could see this was going to happen. Because the FIA kind of like gave people the team simulations that they could run, and they were already seeing it in simulations back then. Right. But obviously they've just ignored. They've just ignored teams. Not done anything about it. Yeah, they've just not changed it. Yeah.
And so like now at this stage, like Max and Lando and people have been fairly critical of the cars and like what they like to drive, I suppose. And that's the reason, you think? Like, it's essentially just the issue down the straight.
Well, there's that, and then there's also the cars are lighter. They've got more stripped back downforce, so there's less drag on the cars, especially with the X and Y wing. So it means that overtaking is actually kind of harder. Lighter cars means overtaking is easier, but now that there's less drag and you can use it anywhere, like ahead of so DRS, right? In Australia, we used to have two DRS zones in Australia. The DRS was just the rear wing, the flap would open, okay? Now we've got the X and Y active modes or whatever. They can be used anywhere, basically, on the track. There's 5 zones on the track. I think they tried to limit it to 4, but teams complained and said, like, if they limited it to 4, we probably would have been 5 seconds off the pace in qualifying. So teams complained, and then there was 5 zones allowed. I think it got banned and then reinstated like within 10 minutes before free practice, something daft like that. It was something so stupid. Not banned, like it got limited to 3 and then reinstated to 5 right before the session. It was so dumb. But yeah, so they're also complaining about that because it means it's harder to actually catch the car in front, because in previous years you would use, if you were within a second behind the car, you would use EDRS. That would allow you to reduce your drag, while the car in front that you're trying to attack can't reduce its drag. Whereas now you can use it anywhere, anytime, anyone can use it. So if you're defending, you can use it to defend. If you're overtaking, you can use it to overtake. Now the FIA's thing that they said about this was, yeah, but we're going to give you a boost button, and that boost is going to come from this amazing battery and energy system, like the electrical system we've put in the car. The problem is, Ollie Behrman actually spoke about this in an interview that I saw this morning. Where did I list Behrman's quote? Fuck, I've lost it again. Oh yeah, so like the problem with this is that Ollie Behrman was saying around this track, the boost actually did nothing because the straights were too long. He said around a track like Bahrain, where it's like smaller straights, you do feel the power of the boost. But he was like, yeah, effectively in Australia, in China, in a lot of the tracks on the calendar, it's not going to do anything.
Right.
So not good for overtaking.
Right. Okay. So then how did we end up with so many more overtakes? Essentially just the car in front not being able to defend because they'd run out of their battery. Exactly.
Yep. So Charles and George alone probably pass each other, because you got to think like Charles passes George and then George passes Charles. That's 2 overtakes there. Yeah. And it went like that for on and off, sometimes twice, 3 times a lap for 10 laps.
Yeah.
So they probably got 20 overtakes just on their own. But yeah, like it was genuinely that. And, also seeing some really slow cars and some people breaking down and things like that. So there was a lot more overtakes that way that were registered. So yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky to look at it because on one hand I really enjoyed the race and I thought it was good, and I can see a bright future for this season. But yeah, there are certainly limitations and restrictions to these current cars.
Okay. Very fair. And then speaking of the future to the season, what did you make of the race in terms of, setting up the season, being the season opening? Obviously, Mercedes looked fast.
Yep.
I'm sure we'll talk about that in more detail later.
Yep.
They had a bit of a battle with Ferrari, although not that close in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are you expecting now that you've sort of seen the season? Do you think McLaren will still be competitive?
Yeah, I think McLaren are going to be a team to watch. McLaren and Red Bull are going to be a team to watch in terms of their development through the season. I think they'll hopefully come back stronger as they can figure out these regulations more. And Red Bull with the new Ford powertrain, or Red Bull Ford powertrain, hopefully they can develop that well through the season and really figure that engine out from a battery and power point of view. Like we saw Lawson had some dramas off the grid with having no battery. We heard Max on the radio saying he had no battery as he was pulling up to the line. So they'll figure that shit out sooner, and they'll be able to hopefully bounce back stronger towards the end. But yeah, I think we've certainly got a battle on with the Mercedes Ferrari teams, and honestly, like with what's happened with Mercedes, I've written this up for the Mercedes section, but I reckon we'll get into this bit now. I think what's happening with the Mercedes engine, it sucks. What has got to happen to them? I kind of don't agree with it, but also as a neutral, I'm like, I quite like it after watching that Australian Grand Prix. I don't agree with it. So sorry, for any context, the pistons, I think it is, are measured. The diameter of them is measured in the regulations. So there's a limit on how wide or the diameter of the pistons can be. So that means the piston hole and the piston that goes inside the engine, right? This is for the ICE, the internal combustion engine. That is tested and that is measured when the engine is cold. Mercedes have engineered their engine so that when it gets hot, the metals expand so that they're actually wider than what the regulations say. But the regulation doesn't stipulate when it needs to be at that measurement. So it just says when it's tested, it needs to be at this measurement. So when it's tested, the engine is usually cold. They don't measure it when it's hot, and it's running. So that means that as the race will go on, the Mercedes engine is going to get hotter, and that means they're going to get more performance out their engine than other cars, which is potentially what we saw in the second half of the race yesterday in the second stint. The they managed to, on older hard tires, they managed to maintain a gap to Ferrari instead of Ferrari closing up on them like we would normally see. So the FIA the thing that they've done is I think it's in June. It might be May, June time. They've put a deadline on when that needs to change and when the cylinder, the pistons will no longer be able to expand under temperature.
What? Toto's
very pissed off because it means they've basically got to change the entire material and how the engine, the ICE, is going to perform. So this is what I was talking about with like, we've got to battle on with the season. I think we could see Mercedes dominate for the first half. But then for the second half, they could either be absolutely fucking nowhere or they could be just behind Ferrari or around about Ferrari because I think they'll lose that little edge of performance they've got.
Okay.
Now I'm in two minds. I'm in the mind of I don't agree with it because I think that it was very fucking clever what Mercedes did. And like that is the point of our sport, right? To interpret the rules and fucking bend them and come up with amazing engineering things around the rules. But also I don't want to see them win by 16 seconds every week. So if this is going to bring them, bring Ferrari back into play a little bit more or Red Bull or, whoever, then I'm happy with that. But we'll see.
All right.
They could also fix it and go fucking quicker. Like if it wasn't intentional and then they fix it and they're like, oh shit, this is way quicker, then we could be in a world of pain. We just don't know what's going to happen with that.
All right, Disc. Probably the biggest news for any Australian concerned about the Australian Grand Prix. Just had a stroke.
Easy skin, not in the studio. Save that for when you're home. See what I did there?
Yeah, well done.
Nice.
Okay, yep. The biggest news for any Australian concerned about the Australian Grand Prix over the weekend was, of course, Oscar crashing out before the race even started.
Yeah.
And before the formation lap. We saw Hadjar last year crash on the formation lap, which I thought was amazing. I think that was the first time I even really learned what a formation lap was. And now there's fucking new laps before the formation lap that I didn't know about, and Oscar's found a way to crash on those.
Yep.
What happened? What are these laps? Why were the cars even on track? I don't understand what was going on. We saw it. I walked past the TV like at the stand wherever we were.
Yeah.
And I saw it on the TV and I was like, 35 minutes to a race. That must be from last year or something. Like, the cars won't even be on track.
Yeah.
And then oh yeah, he's not racing.
Fucked, eh? It was so funny as well because I was in the grandstand at that point and like everyone, like a lot of people in the grandstand, I mean, I was doing the exact same. I was eating fucking noodles. Yeah. And I'm halfway eating these noodles. I'm like, I look up and I hear some people like, oh my God. And I'm like, surely this isn't live. And then like, as everyone started to realize it was live, you just saw people like, I'm just surrounded by Aussies, all wearing Oscar Piastri merch and hats and stuff. And I just saw like people taking sips of the beers and it just like going down and they're just like, you saw the energy drain from them. But yeah, it was bizarre. So for anyone that doesn't know what these laps are and why they do them, they're allowed to do, I think it's 2, maybe 3 laps where they go out around the track, back into the pits, out around the track, back into the pits. It's to test the radio, test the sensors to make sure the car has switched on okay and is running okay. And, no gremlins have seeped into the car overnight since qualifying, right? Because obviously the cars are in parc ferme. They're not allowed to touch them from qualifying through to the race unless you're going to start from the pit lane, you take it out parc ferme and then There's all rules around that. And an example of that, actually, really good example, Nico Hülkenberg. He pulled around to the grid and then they wheeled him off the grid because on them laps around to the grid, they found a sensor issue and they couldn't reset it with software. So they had to take his car off the grid and retire it before the race. So that's the point of these laps, right? It's to initiate and to double check everything is working on your car. So usually what you'll do is you'll stick a set of softs on or something, the grippiest set of tires. You'll usually heat them up in the tire blankets as much as you're allowed. You'll go out, you'll go real cruisy. You'll just test the things you need to test. Oscar figured, I'm going to push the car to the fucking limits and put it in the wall. Don't know why. Seemed crazy that he took that much curb and slammed on the throttle that aggressively. I'm going to put it down to driver error. I don't think he needed to do any of the things he did on that outlap.
Okay. You say push it to the limit. Was he pushing it to the limit? It didn't look like he was going fast.
No, he wasn't going fast, but like he was riding the curb. Like just don't do that. Because like if you're riding a curb that much, you're already upsetting the downforce on the car on cold tires. if you then hit the throttle hard whilst you're upsetting the car that much, when you don't need to be, it's just kind of, you would never do that on a formation lap. You'd never ride the curbs on a formation lap. You'd be in the middle of the track or on the racing line. And you'd be weaving real fucking slow. So why he felt the need to do that on an outlap to the grid made no sense to me.
Right.
Yeah.
But cars do take the curb all the time in the race.
Yeah.
Why would clipping the curb cause you to spin off like that?
No, the clipping the curb wouldn't cause you to spin off like that. It's just you're on cold tires, you're fresh out, the track is green. So like it's not been raced on with Formula One rubber since the qualifying the day before. So it's been almost 24 hours without F1 rubber being down. Like you potentially one of the first cars out. There's just a lot of things. Like when you go in free practice, you don't push on your first lap. You don't ride everything on your first lap. You just don't do these things on your first lap out. You have an installation lap. And that's what this is. It was an installation lap. It's like bowling in the nets. The first ball you bowl, you're not going to try and bowl it as a pace ball. You're not going to try and bowl it 112 Ks an hour, are you? You probably pull something. Like
112 is actually pretty slow, but I mean.
Oh, is it?
But I see what you said.
Skin in office cricket. Listen, that's what I was talking about, obviously.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. But yeah, like, you're not going to push it to the limit. And I don't think he was pushing it to race pace or quali pace, certainly. Sure. But I still think he just leaned a bit too much. I mean, he obviously did. He fucking put it in the wall. You know what I mean? Like he obviously went too close to the edge.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Well, that was disappointing. Quite anticlimactic.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, I don't know how McLaren will end up going in terms of championships or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I mean, last year ended up being decided by 2 points. So something that's just amazing, like something like that this early in the season could completely screw everything up.
Literally. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's such a good point as well. Cause yeah, it was a tight season last year and the year before with the constructors, right? That went down to the wire with Ferrari. So yeah, like not good for McLaren. Really not good start to the season. Move on to Lando a little bit there as well. Just the same as well. Like he just didn't really deliver the whole weekend. Just felt a bit flat. His mood was flat. He complained a lot and just didn't look at one with the car the whole weekend. He even come out with a quote saying that they've gone from the best cars to the worst cars, not McLaren specifically, but just 2025 to 2026 cars, which I thought was quite a funny quote.
Yeah. Something did seem weird about his car though. Like we were there watching some of the free practices. I don't know, but like Oscar was putting in decent laps and sort of like similar times to the Ferraris and Mercedes and whatnot. And Lando was like struggling to even get out on track, sort of thing. I don't know what was going wrong with on his side of the garage, but
that's what I'm saying. He just seemed flat. He just didn't seem to have like really anything. Like it would have been really interesting to see what Oscar could have done against, like in comparison to Lando in the race over, on a long distance. But yeah, certainly in free practice and in qualifying, he kind of didn't look like he was faster than Oscar in any way. Like Oscar seemed to have the edge over him, which is quite interesting to say that he's the reigning world champion.
Oh yeah.
Also, can we talk about this on the start? Franco Colapinto, the save of the fucking century. I was going to say decade, but that seems too small of a time. Like, I've never seen anything that good.
Really? Yeah.
Like, how the fuck they didn't even slightly clip, I'll never know.
Yeah. There was a pretty amazing one in Monaco, in that tunnel in Monaco not long ago. Can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Russell.
But it's more that the car in front of Franco moved out the way so last minute. Like, that was an amazing save to not hit the back of Liam Lawson. But that blindsided Franco even more. So he couldn't see what was happening.
Yeah.
It's just the slow-mo front on shot is one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen.
Yeah, fair. And like to swerve out of the way and not hit Lawson, but then also not clip the wall as he's swerving toward the wall.
Yeah. Like your rear is just like, I want to go towards this wall, and you're like, nope. Unbelievable control from him. Unbelievable. And I think it was Valtteri Bottas behind him. He must have just been like, holy fuck, that was good. Did you see George's reaction? That was crazy.
Amazing.
That was absolutely crazy. Also, let's talk about Max. Max was quite flat as well this weekend. He was one of the biggest people the whole weekend and has been one of the biggest people throughout preseason to be hating on these cars and this regulation and things like that. He came out with a quote saying they're not fun to drive. He also said it was anti-racing, which I can understand to a degree, like we've already spoken about in the first part of this pod. But I also like from my point of view, like I saw a quote from George. I saw a quote from George that said something like, the drivers don't like the cars, right? So the drivers not all of the drivers are enjoying the cars, if any of the drivers are enjoying them. However, like the fans enjoyed the race. I was in the grandstand and it was certainly everyone was engaged in that race up until Ferrari decided to fucking stay out for 30 odd laps and not pit.
Yes.
You know, so it was for the first half at least, it was a great race.
Yeah.
And like the strategy calls coming into play, like I really thoroughly enjoyed that. I wish instead of throwing VSCs, they'd thrown full safety cars. That would have really like bunched them back together. That would have been phenomenal. But I enjoyed it. And so if the drivers don't like the cars because they're struggling with them, who cares? Isn't the point of sport for the fans to enjoy it? Like, if the drivers had their way, they would have a perfect car that all did the same fucking lap times. We'd see no overtaking. They'd have a cruisy life and they'd get to go as fast as possible. But that would not be enjoyable for fans, and the sport wouldn't grow or thrive. Like, we're the people that make the sport what it is. We put the sport on the pedestal by watching it and tuning in and talking about it. Like doing all of this. Like how many people do this and talk about this sport? I think Max just needs to suck it up and just go, this is what the sport is right now. I'm going to go out there and do the best I can and put on a good show for the fans.
Okay. I think he does do that. Like at the same time, he also says like, I don't care if I'm driving a potato or whatever. I'm going to try and drive it as quickly as I can.
That is true.
Like he very much has that attitude. It's just sort of whenever he's pressed about what he thinks about the regulations, he doesn't seem to have anything positive to say about them. But
it's more like when he got out of the car and they said, did you enjoy that? And his first answer was, no. Yeah. I was like, oh, like I get it, but like you're now making your interviews not as enjoyable. Whereas last season it was like he had a shit car, he hated it, but he was still like fun in interviews. Like I loved watching Max in interviews last year, but already I'm just like I'm bored of it.
Right.
I'm getting bored of hearing them fucking complain.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Let's talk about some team skin.
Let's.
Williams. Williams
didn't. 2026 world champions
didn't do the best skin
because they've been bad for all these
years
because they've just forget about 2024 2025. You just want to break everything, test everything, learn everything. We're all the works for 2026. 2026 and we're going to win the world championship. Remember how you've been saying that for years? What happened to that?
Anyway, so Ferrari yes, I need to.
Haven't they been working on 2026 for years? Are they?
They are one of the teams that. Yeah, they're one of the teams that said we are going to focus on 26 as a goal. Like James said, realistically, he thinks 27 will be the biggest year, but he was like, if we're not making big moves in 26, which I think got fans like me excited, but also like, you know, you look at it like the Aston project and the Williams project. This is also one of the funniest things, right? I thought after testing, I was like, oh God, this isn't going to be good. Like Williams don't look that good. I'm nervous to go to Australia and see how far off the pace we are in comparison to where I thought we were going to be, which was going to be winning by a minute and a half, right? And I thought people are going to be in my DMs calling me a fuckwit, telling me I'm an idiot. Everyone's been in my DMs like, mate, I actually thought the same. And it's not even because I convinced them. It's because of everything that Williams has been saying and James has been saying. So yeah, it's very disappointing. I've lost all faith that we are going to do anything this season. And my hopes and my prediction is that Williams will be champions in 2027. Oh, it's so disappointing. It's hard to be a Williams fan.
Oh, yes.
However, the Williams activation in Melbourne was fucking phenomenal. Well done to you guys for putting that on. That was incredible. But yeah, no, I'm genuinely like, I'm so disappointed. Okay. We're just not where I wanted us to be. We're not where James or Carlos or Alex or any of the team wanted that car to be. It's overweight.
Why? What's going wrong?
It's overweight again. Like it's heavy. They've not got the regulations correct with the aerodynamics and things like that. I don't think they've fully figured out this battery system and how to manage it yet, which kind of seems to be a common theme, even with the top teams. I don't think they've all figured it out exactly right now. So yeah, there's a lot of things that are wrong with Williams right now. And honestly, like all of the stats that were coming out last year, like 24 points versus 25, I think we're going to look at them stats again this year where it's going to be 25 versus 26 and it's going to be a shocking story. I think we need to compare 24 to 26 because I think we may struggle to do as well as what we did in 24.
No, Dave.
Yeah, Jay, I think it'll be at least until after the summer break that we get a point.
Oh, the heartbreak.
Yeah.
You poor Williams fans.
And you know why? Audi are so much fucking better than I expected.
Yeah.
Holy shit, have they done a good job. Like brand new team, brand new engine. See how well I moved away from Williams there?
Yeah. Well done.
I think Audi have smashed it out the park. I think their program is certainly leaps and bounds above the likes of Williams, but mainly Aston Martin. If we're going to compare any two teams, Aston Martin have got the new Honda engine, using air quotes for audio listeners, because it's kind of not new, but it also is new because Honda was the Honda Red Bull engine.
Right.
But they kind of fired everyone in 2021, 22 when they left F1. And then 6 months later did a U-turn and said, no, we're not going to leave F1. But Red Bull were like, we don't want you to stay with us. We're going to be Red Bull powertrains and try and bring Ford on, which is what they ended up doing. So then Honda had already sacked half their employees or probably more. And then Aston signed with them. They tried to do rehiring, but they were already years behind developing this car, this engine apparently. So yeah, not good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, so that is the explanation for Aston Martin's woes?
Apparently so. Apparently it's the lack of time that they have been able to put into that engine in comparison to the likes of Mercedes, Ferrari, and apparently Audi. Because I think Audi had a from scratch project and scored points on the debut. So, I'm question marks all around for that Aston Martin project. Because even pre-season, I was looking at photos of the car, and I think I put some on my story of a side-on profile, and I was like, they're going to win the championship. There's no fucking doubt. And I've had more people message me saying, yeah, what has happened? Like they have they have all these new factories. They've got Adrian Newey. They've got all these new engineers and technicians. They've got the big Honda contract behind them. Like, how have they fucked it up again? Yeah.
Yeah, that seems particularly concerning, the Aston Martin situation. Like, not even, they weren't even confident they could finish the race, and they didn't finish the race at all. Like, just not having a car that can go the distance is like, that's got to make you feel better as a Williams fan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah.
You could.
But
you've got a car that can finish a race.
If we were in that situation, I would have bought this jacket and burnt it in front of the Williams garage. Okay. Like, fuck me, that would have been... Like Williams have had some tough years. We've had years where we've literally not turned. I know we missed the Bahrain the Barcelona shakedown this year, but like proper testing. We've had years where like we've missed proper testing, and then our team principal Claire Williams had to put car components in her carry-on suitcase to take them to testing and to take them to the track because they were finished and produced that last minute. They didn't have time to get it on shipping freight to get it there with the car.
Yeah. Okay.
So the TP was flying out the day before and fucking carrying them in a luggage. Like, you know, we've been at dire times where we still put a car on track and we still finish races and manage to compete in a season. Whereas it's looking like Aston might not be able to. And going into the weekend, Stroll and Alonso saying things like it feels like having an electric shock go through your hands because of the vibrations from the engine. You know, Fernando said he thinks he could only do 25 laps without permanent nerve damage. And Lance said he could only do 15. So not good. I do have a question around Aston though for you, because a listener sent this in and I can't remember who it is. I'm really sorry. But they said that they didn't like how Aston went out for 10 laps, then went out 15 laps, sat in the pits for 10 laps, then sent him back out for another 10, 15.
Yeah. Okay.
What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was confused by it because I assumed, I think it was Alonso, wasn't it? I assumed he'd retired and then he was back out there like 12 laps behind, and then he was retired and then he was back out there and then he was finally actually retired or something like that. It seemed, at the time I was sitting there thinking like, I don't understand the point. Like, why would they do that? He's obviously not ever going to get any points or anything. But I think in hindsight, the benefit is just like they essentially got to use it as a free practice or as a testing and try and get some more data on the car, I assume, and see if they could learn anything about how to fix some of their problems. And I think I am all for that. If they are struggling to even finish a race, they need some figuring out.
That's good because, like the other fan that reached out to us was just like, no, I'm so off it. I don't think they should be able to do that. Like, But I'm kind of like, I want to see everyone succeed. And if this data that they can get here will help them to develop this engine so that by mid-season or next season, the engine can be somewhat better, then I'm all for that, getting them the most track time possible.
Yeah, I mean, there's no point having them in the competition all season if they're never going to finish a race.
Yeah,
exactly. You need to do something so that they can figure it out in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and shareholders and stakeholders are going to get very fucking bored of it, and sponsors are going to start pulling money and things like that if that happens. And we don't want to see a team leave the grid because of financial difficulties. So yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for giving them time on track. However, I want to make sure that it's with the preface of don't get in the way of other people. If you are going to do that and you are going to use it as a testing session, then when you see a blue flag, fucking pull over as soon as humanly possible. Like, get out the fucking way quick. And they did do that. Like, Alonso did get out the way, but I'm going to fully imagine we're going to see it again in China where they'll do something very similar. They just need to, just stay clear.
Yeah, for sure.
Ferrari, Mercedes, let's talk about this because this seems like it's going to be the battle for the championship between their 4 drivers and between these two teams. I think Mercedes had a great weekend. They've obviously built a fucking rocket ship of a car. We've spoke about the engine a little bit. That could change mid-season, but yeah, hats off to them. Great job. Toto in qualifying with the little, look at the camera was amazing.
Yep.
Frothed it. But George Russell, for me, was insane all weekend. Just cool, calm, collected. I can see why he's the bookie's favorite. He is just on it. Like, he just looks like he's in a different level this year. He looks like he's got that team. He's at the top of that team. He's leading with his strongest foot or whatever the fuck. What's the saying?
No idea.
You lead with your front foot or something?
That sounds like a saying.
That sounds better than what I just said. Strongest foot or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd measure the strength of both your feet. But
yeah, I don't know. It's one of those two, or maybe it's not. But yeah, I think he's leading by example. Let's go with that one.
Sure.
I think he's leading by example, and he's really pushing that team forward. And he's really helping Kimi out as well. Like, seeing them their relationship growing is phenomenal. I think Kimi's going to learn a lot from him, and yeah, just great from George, and then Kimi. I'm going to go out there and say Kimi had a flawless weekend. Now, I know what you're going to say. You say what you're going to say.
He had a big crash.
Yep. However, he still put it on P2 2 hours later and then finished P2. Like, crash all you want. If you're still going to fucking get the highest result possible apart from your teammate, are you going to beat every other car on track by half a second in qualifying and then by, what was it, 8 or 9 seconds in the race to Charles Leclerc? Or maybe 6 seconds, actually, I don't know. Fucking go for gold. Like, I'm all for it.
Okay. I imagine his engineers probably disagree with you, saying go for gold.
No,
crash it all you want. But.
Yeah, no, his mechanics deserve, like, beers are on him, surely, after the Australian Grand Prix. Like, he needs to fucking pay them back big time for giving them such a big job. But this is the point of motorsport, isn't it? Is you crash, you learn. Like, the video that came out with him and Toto after that FP3 crash of Toto saying, keep that confidence. 2 hours later, he fucking kept the confidence, put it on P2, like only 2/10 off of George as well.
Yeah.
I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it's very impressive. Can you explain to me how they possibly got that car back in 2 hours?
No.
It looked mangled. Like,
they are fucking...
Do they just have replacement parts?
Oh, yeah. All of them parts would have been... the only thing I'm not too sure about, so I'm not going to comment on, but at the time I was like, his gearbox is going to be fucking broken. I don't know if they changed his gearbox. I'm going to go with the assumption that they didn't, because that would be a huge job to do in 2 hours. So all the side pod, the floor, all the suspension, the wheel, like all that shit on the side, the front wing, the rear wing, all that, easily replaceable, as in they have spare parts. Yeah, for sure. However, it's to the scale in which there were replaceable parts.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to replace a front suspension if you've only damaged your front suspension. But when you've damaged your front wing, all of your front suspension, your floor, when you've damaged all of these things at once, that's when it becomes a mammoth task. And that's when them mechanics really fucking earn their paycheck and then some on Saturday. Because, yeah, I certainly looked at that and was like, Kimi's not going to be in qualifying.
No.
And then, I mean, the red flag in Q1 kind of helped him a little bit because it gave him more of a cushion to get out and do a lap to get through to Q2. But them mechanics fucking dominated that.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah.
My other question about Mercedes is they were sort of sandbagging over the weekend, like in free practice 1, 2, and almost all of 3. They did next to nothing and were sort of just hovering around the middle of the pack. What would be the reason to do that? What's the benefit to sandbagging? Like if they've got a car that's going to win the race by however many bloody seconds it ended up winning the race by, like they've got this rocket ship that's going to be way faster than everyone else. Yeah. Why does it matter if the other teams know you're faster than them?
It's more impressive when you win by 16 seconds.
Is that literally it?
I reckon so, yeah. For me, I think it's... I understand sandbagging in testing. I fully get that. You don't want to grab too many headlines. And then get to Australia and actually like everyone else was also sandbagging and then you're equal on points or you're equal on speed and stuff. But yeah, certainly sandbagging in free practice was, I think Toto's smile said it all in qualifying. I think it was, I think it's just them just going, yeah, look what we fucking got in Q3.
Right.
And also, I can't remember who we were with, but we were with someone in the Amex lounge who was new to Formula One. And the 3 of us were having a chat and I can't remember if it was, the 4 of us, sorry, Lee was there as well. I can't remember if it was you or Lee that said every time you would see Charles or Lewis going quick, you would immediately see the purple sectors go green because George is on a lap behind them and his time's not on screen, but he's the one fucking going quicker. And it was just like that. Like it was like whatever Ferrari can do, we can do better kind of thing from Mercedes. And it just phenomenal work from them.
Yeah, you're not wrong. The one thing Ferrari did well that Mercedes couldn't do better was the race start.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was pretty much that. No. So Charles went from, I assume he must have qualified P3.
No, Isaac was P3.
Yeah, okay.
Was it? Actually, I've got it here.
Yeah, he would have been P4 then.
So qualifying was Russell, Antonelli, Hadjar, Leclerc, and then Piastri. So yeah, Leclerc in P4.
So Leclerc's gone from P4 to P1 by turn 1, and then Hamilton's gone from like P7 to 3 or something like
3,
that.
Yeah.
By turn 1. So they're rapid at the start of the race. Their start is significantly quicker than everyone else's. Yep. Do we know why?
Yes, we do. And it's smart as fuck from Ferrari. In early 2025, Fred put forward and spoke quite publicly about it, but Ferrari had discovered that within the 2026 regulations, starts were going to be an issue because we have racked the MGU K, I want to say, which used to manage the electrical deployment of the battery. We've removed that and we're now relying purely on a turbo. We've always had a turbo, but we're relying purely on that instead of getting an electrical boost off the line kind of thing, if that makes sense, right? So anyone that's driven, and again, I spoke about this we spoke about it in the 2026 regulation episode that we released mid last year. You're going to need to rev up your turbo. So if you've ever driven a car where the turbo is on its way out, or you've driven a car with a turbo and you've been like barely pressing the throttle and then you slam on the throttle and wind your turbo up, when that turbo boost hits, you feel it. But there's a turbo lag between hitting the throttle and your turbo being fully wound up and up to speed so that you get the turbo boost, right? So that's why in all through free practice, we were hearing people doing practice pit stops or practice starts, and you were hearing them rev the fucking bollocks off the car. Even in the race, when Cadillac pitted, I can't remember who it was, they had quite a slow pit stop, and they were revving the shit. I was straight across from them, and they were revving it so much whilst the mechanics are changing the tires, just so the turbo spun up so they can have a good launch out of the box. So Ferrari saw this and said, hey, if we design the turbos the way we have been designing the turbos in previous years with these V6 engines, and we're talking about the internal combustion engine section of the engine or of the power unit, then we're going to have to wind these turbos up and it's going to take 20, 30 seconds or some shit. And they took it to the FIA and the FIA was like, no, it's no issue. No, it's fine. And they ignored it. So what Ferrari did was they built a smaller turbo. Smaller your turbo, the smaller the less amount of air that you need to pump through your turbo, so the quicker it will spin up. So they designed a smaller turbo. So it's obvious that they're going to have better starts because they don't need to rev their car for as long as every other car on the grid who has a bigger turbo.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So very fucking clever from Ferrari.
Right. Okay. Look at them go.
Yeah. So that's that. In my opinion, that's why they've got these epic starts, because they can get their turbo, up to full speed really quick. Haas had good starts as well. We saw it. Cadillac had decent starts. I think they've got other issues and they need to get on top of just racing as a team, but well done to them. But certainly any Ferrari powered car is gonna be a fucking weapon this season.
Right. Okay.
Which is literally just the three I just said.
Sure. All right.
Off
Cool.
the starts as well.
Okay. So Ferrari very clever around their race starts and their turbo.
Yep.
Not so clever around their race strategy.
No.
Yet again. What happened?
Yeah.
I feel like, again, the point of the show, I'm the fool of racing. I don't understand Formula One racing, so there's every chance I'm an idiot. But my understanding is safety car equals free pit stop.
Basically, yeah.
How did they miss that?
Like, I said this to your brother in the car yesterday on the way to the airport. I think, benefit of the doubt, they looked at the lap that the safety car came out and they went, oh, this might be too early. Like, we saw Mercedes stay out for one lap and then say, now fuck it, we're going to pit. So Mercedes hesitated and then pitted, right? And I think that's where Ferrari went wrong. They should have seen Mercedes hesitation and then decision and gone, they've seen something, let's just fucking copy it, at least with one car, like Lewis was talking about on the radio, right? Yeah. Copy it with one car, split the strategy. They should have covered it off like that. But yeah, I think they were looking at the lap and going, that's quite a lot of laps to do on a hard set of tyres. And I don't know if we can do it because, like, we've not really pushed the tyres that much in this era of cars on this kind of track. So yeah, like, I think they were just scared to do that. But, you're potentially going to battle for a championship. You need to fucking roll the dice. At least with one car. Yeah. Like, it's not a Red Bull situation from last year where they only had one car in the mix. Like, you've got two cars in the mix, split the strategy. If it like, let's also face it, if it had messed up, they finished well enough ahead of Lando and Max in what, 5th and 6th, that even if they'd messed it up, they did mess it up, they still finished ahead. Yeah, exactly. And if the earlier pit stop had messed up like what George and Kimi did, which in hindsight we know it didn't, but if it did, they would probably have still finished in the same positions, 3rd and 4th. Yeah. So yeah, I don't understand Ferrari's strategy call yet again. The clown memes came out with the Ferrari pit wall all being clowns, and Fred has come out and said that he 100% backs their decision and would do it again.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Don't understand it.
Anyway.
Go Ferrari. So yeah, I think it was just humdingers for them. But looking at the drivers, I think both drivers did well. Charles obviously pushed George quite heavily at the beginning. Lewis had a very good race. He got out of the car, looked quite happy in the media pen, and was like, "Yeah, like that was actually a pretty good race for us. Like I'm pretty happy with that for a start of the season, especially where they were last year." So there are positives for Ferrari. Race starts were good. They were able to battle. They were able to challenge, and I think after Mercedes have to change their engine, they could be good towards the back end of the season. So if you are a Ferrari fan, don't lose hope just yet. Okay. Lose hope in your strategy, but you should never have had hope in them anyway. But it could still come good towards the end of the year. Is that everything we've done? Yeah, that's everything. Okay, we'll go into Guru and Fool Skin.
Sweet.
All right, Skin, Guru and Fool of this weekend, this race weekend. I've gone with a basic one. I think you would like this one. I've gone with George. Yep. I said it earlier on. I think he dominated the whole weekend from start to finish. I think his management was unreal. I think he's gone to another level we've never seen with George. And yeah, I think I said in his episode, his dedicated episode we did in the preseason, I think this is going to be a make or break year for George, as in like he really needs to show and put all of his years of experience now into this season, and certainly started off the right way. So yeah, he is my guru.
Very fair. I like it. In an attempt to be a tad less basic, I've said someone different. I was quite impressed with Arvid Lindblad on debut. Nice. Got some points, looked fast at times, had a nice start, got up to, I think he was P3 or 4 at early doors. Yeah. He was doing it.
Yeah, he was cracking on.
Yeah, so that was exciting. In a racing bull, not even a particularly fantastic car.
No.
It looks good.
Yeah, and when you see him in comparison to Liam as well, who's driven that, drove that car last season, he fucking dominated. Yeah. So I also saw a very humble interview from him. I almost chose Arvid, to be fair, but I saw a very humble interview with him where Jensen asked him, like, how's he feeling with the pressure? And he was like, I don't see why I should feel pressure. He said, I made a promise to myself at 5 years old that I was going to make it to F1 and live out my dream. He said, I've just done it. He said, everything from here is a bonus, and I'm living the dream that I've worked hard my whole life to get to. So like, The only pressure I can put on myself, the only pressure that I should have is my own pressure.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't really care about anyone else's opinions or whatever. And he's like, I'm here racing for me and racing for the best of my, to the best of my ability. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, it seems like he's got his head screwed on.
Yeah. Blew my mind.
It's exciting.
Yeah. Fool of the week has to be Aston Martin, surely.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Again,
I've just seen who you've gone with.
Yeah, I feel like mine's also fairly obvious.
Yeah.
Oscar driving into the wall on the laps that aren't even laps.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. No, very good point.
Yeah.
Both fools.
They all suck.
Yeah. Go Oscar. I mean, obviously he's a great person. We love him, but go Oscar. You're a fool. I want to just bring up a couple of bits, a few fan engagement bits, Skin. We're going to try and include you guys a little bit more in the podcast this season. We are launching our podcast, we're launching our website, which should be launched this week, which has a speak pipe and a contact form. So if you do want to get in touch, do it on socials or go on the website and do it on either of them. It's not launched as of this podcast being released, but it will be in the next couple of days. However, I had Carrie, what is this guy's name? Carrie Smith.
Cool.
Cary. I thought it was Gary Smith. So I just had to double check that I didn't read it wrong. He dropped me a message and was like, Disc, I saw you and your partner going to Chemist Warehouse before free practice on Friday.
Great.
Yeah. I thought that was really funny.
That's that.
Because then I replied, yeah, not my finest moment. Forgot to bring deodorant down to Melbourne, so I had to go get that. Also told my partner on the escalator down that we needed sunscreen before going to the track. Forgot to buy sunscreen. Burnt all my neck.
You absolutely... They hand out sunscreen everywhere.
Yep. Yeah. Somehow all day Friday, missed it. Genuinely, when we went in on Saturday, I saw it and I was like, I walked past, how did I miss this yesterday? So
everywhere.
All my neck is burnt because I didn't see it on the Friday.
Oh, Dave.
Yeah.
You are a worry.
Yeah, well, Carrie also forgot his sunscreen, so go Carrie.
Okay.
So yeah, good shout out from him. A good message from him. Also, just want to give a shout out to Glenn and to the second seat on Instagram, who sent us messages all through the weekend, spotted us on top of the pits on the Sunday, tagged us in a post. So yeah, thank you guys thank you guys for getting around it and for leaving some lovely messages and just hyping us up and posting us on your Instagrams. That was fantastic. Thank you so much. Next week, we are going to China. And by next week, I mean this weekend, we're going to China. Not physically. I've just been to China. Did go to the Shanghai track. Unfortunately, I'm not going this weekend. But Formula One is returning there. So what should you look out for at the Chinese Grand Prix this weekend? Well, obviously with these new cars and everything, as we've spoken about, this new overtaking is going to be, it was already weird in Australia. China has a fucking long back straight. So we are going to see some very weird battery deployments and batteries running out and cars going fast and then going slow and then braking and going slower. So just look out for that on Shanghai's long back straight and kind of a long main straight as well when you compare it to Australia's. So it's going to be a shit one for that battery deployment. So just keep an eye out on that. I think free practice is going to be interesting to see how they start planning for that for the race. So keep a lookout for their long runs in free practice. Yeah, it's also our first sprint weekend of the year. So how are they going to manage these new regs and this new overtaking with the battery deployment in a sprint weekend where, we could see people like Ferrari and Haas really dominate with their, off the line speed and trying to get ahead of the Mercedes or any other competitors and then using the battery in the early phases to pull a gap. Keep an eye out for that. And then also just, we've got reliability issues that are going to start creeping in for the teams like Aston Martin with that Honda engine, potentially Red Bull, Williams, Cadillac. We saw all of them have issues with their engine or issues with the car over the course of the weekend. Carlos, didn't set a lap time in qualifying. Neither did Sergio, I don't think. And then obviously Isaac with a what looked like his engine exploding during the race. I don't actually know what that was. But yeah, keep a lookout for reliability issues over the course of this weekend. With it being a sprint weekend, they're only going to have one free practice session before sprint quali. So going to be interesting, I reckon.
All right.
All right. Well, that is all we've got time for this week on the Formula Fools podcast. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sticking with us for a longer episode. Look, I don't know how these episodes are going to go because it's going to be a crazy season. There's going to be a lot of hot debates with this engine and with this new regulation. We've like I said at the beginning, we were writing this ep and I was blown away by how much I'd written down because there is just so much to cover. Hopefully that's just a first race thing and these episodes return to their normal 40 to 45 minute time zone. But yeah, thank you for sticking with us. And if you are still here, please go follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We are at Formula Fools on Facebook and at Formula_Fools on the rest. Just search Formula Fools, you'll find us.
Oh, yeah.
Ratings and reviews, Ken.
Oh, yeah. Also do those ratings and reviews wherever you're listening. They help a great deal. Thank you very much. And
look out for our website on socials as well. We will see you next week at China.
Oh, yeah. We'll be here in Brisbane, but we'll see you talking about China.
Yeah, I'm going to upload some videos to Fools of me on the Shanghai track.
Beautiful.
Go the Fools.